while returning from a camping trip, a man lost his way in the dark. He turned on his camera for light as he walked along an unfamiliar path. Suddenly, he heard footsteps running behind him. When he looked back, there was nothing, but the sound kept following. The faster he ran, the closer it came, until the camera briefly caught it, a twisted, human-like form chasing him through the trees. His voice broke into a terrified scream before the footage cut out. Another ghost hunter ventured into an abandoned building for a live stream challenge. The walls were damp, the floor scattered with debris. He joked nervously with his viewers, pretending not to notice the shadows moving above. Then came the sound of a heavy thud, followed by faint knocking from a nearby room. When he entered the bathroom, the door slammed behind him. His breath quickened. In the reflection of the cracked mirror, a dark figure appeared for just a second, standing over his shoulder. The camera dropped, and all that remained was his voice whispering prayers before the screen went dark.
Apa sih ini? Entah. Kuntu minal jalimin ya Allah. Takutnya.
Far away, a foreign team of explorers visited a house believed to have been home to a witch. The building was silent except for the sound of rain hitting the roof. They called into the darkness, asking for a sign. Suddenly, lightning flashed, and a dark shape appeared in the corner of the room, its form thin, its eyes burning faintly. The air grew thick, and one of them shouted a prayer as the entity rushed forward. The camera shook violently before cutting to static.
Biz senden korkmuyoruz. Abi. Oo abi. Onun tavandan aşağı gördüm ben. Büyük bir sıkıntı diye. Gitti. Abi.
Deep in the woods, a man known for his camping videos decided to spend a night alone. He set up his tent, built a small fire, and listened to the quiet rhythm of nature. Then, from the darkness, came a sound of soft footsteps, circling his camp. He froze, eyes wide. The night grew colder, the fire dimmed, and in the corner of the camera's view, something passed behind his tent. When he reviewed the footage later, he saw a figure gliding silently past a Headless, its body moving without a trace of life.
Ada suara di sini, teman-teman. Ada suara dari sini ke sini.
A ghost hunter decided to camp in a forest known for its strange energy. He lit a small lamp and began speaking softly to his viewers. The night was calm until a heavy wind swept through, bringing a foul, burning scent. He didn't notice the shadow forming behind him, long and human-like, its shape bending unnaturally. Only when he turned off the camera to leave did the footage capture it clearly, a pale face hovering behind his shoulder before fading as the light disappeared.
La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. La
Another explorer wandered through a long dirt road between plantations where locals refused to travel after dark. The air was thick with the smell of damp earth. He muttered prayers as he walked, when suddenly, the stench of something rotten filled the air. Ahead, a figure stood, white, motionless, and glowing faintly. As he turned to flee, the figure appeared again, this time behind him, floating closer with every step. He stumbled backward, his voice trembling as he prayed louder and louder, until the forest echoed with his cries and the sound of running footsteps.
Tadi di sana, Tadi di sana. Woi. Wih. Astagfirullah, astagfirullah, astagfirullah. Allahu Akbar. Astagfirullahaladzim, 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 astagfirullahaladzim. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Terbang. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Astagfirullah, astagfirullah. Anjir. Maaf kalau saya misalkan.
The next night, he returned to find the same path and prove it was all in his mind. But the spirit was waiting. As he tried to leave the area, the pale figure appeared again, closer this time, moving faster. His camera blurred, his voice filled with panic. Every time he turned, the apparition reappeared in front of him. Surrounded, he cried out for mercy as the screen flickered and went black, leaving only his trembling voice echoing through the dark.
Ini di mana-mana. Permisi, a'udzubillahi minasyaitonirrajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahu Akbar. Astagfirullah, astagfirullah, astagfirullah.
In an old graveyard long forgotten, an explorer from Sapam Explore decided to test his courage. The night was eerily quiet, his flashlight weak and flickering. As he walked between crumbling tombstones, something cold brushed past him. He turned and saw a faint, human shape crouched beside a grave, staring directly at him. His hand shook as he whispered prayers, but the shadow rose slowly, gliding toward him until the light failed completely.
Beres. Allahu Akbar.
One night, a lone explorer entered a forest said to be cursed. The trees stood like silent watchers as he whispered prayers into the cold air. Every sound echoed too long, every shadow felt alive. Suddenly, a faint noise of something falling echoed nearby. His flashlight trembled as he turned toward the sound. A shape flickered between the trees, pale and shifting, before vanishing into the mist. His voice cracked as he called out, but the only answer was the whisper of the wind. Alone, trembling, he realized he had stepped into a place where silence itself was not empty.
Allahu Akbar! La ilaha illallah!
One final investigation took place deep in a dense forest. The hunter walked cautiously along a narrow trail, guided only by the dim glow of his flashlight. A sudden wind rose, rustling the trees. He began to pray under his breath, but the words faltered as his camera lens blurred on its own. Then, through the haze, something moved in the branches above him, a shadow shifting against the wind. He whispered an apology, turned to leave, and the video ended with his faint voice saying he would never return to that place again. A group of young friends gathered together in a small cabin to cook and share a meal. They joked, laughed, and tried every dish they made: noodles, mushrooms, fish, and soup. The room was filled with the warmth of friendship. But as the camera panned under the table, something unexpected appeared. For less than a second, a pale, twisted face emerged from beneath, its eyes wide open before vanishing. None of them noticed at the time. When they later reviewed the footage, silence filled the room. Whatever was under that table hadn't been one of them. During a light-hearted comedy show, the stage was bright, the audience cheerful. Handsome men and beautiful women entered first, followed by comedians imitating their every move for laughs. The crowd roared with laughter. But then, as one comedian performed near the door, the camera caught something behind him, a shadow moving on its own. When the frame brightened, a terrifying face appeared from behind the door, pale and unmistakably female. The performers continued, unaware, while the face watched from the darkness. Viewers later called it the Japanese woman behind the door. In a college classroom, a group of students gathered to study and debate. Their discussion grew heated, voices overlapping with frustration and laughter. Then, one student suddenly stopped talking, his expression changing to fear. The others turned toward him, confused. At that moment, the camera shifted toward the window. Outside, multiple faces pressed against the glass, pale, lifeless, and watching silently. For a brief instant, their dark eyes met the lens before fading into the night. The room fell silent, as if everyone could feel the cold presence still lingering beyond the walls. 3 young men visited a quiet rural village known for its old traditions. They laughed as they explored the area, recording their every move. Eventually, they found a hand pump well and decided to test it. The first few pumps brought only water, but then something else appeared, dark strands of hair slowly rising with the flow. The men froze, unsure if it was real. One of them reached forward, but the hair sank back into the water before he could touch it. They ran from the well, leaving it behind. In a small office room, 2 co-workers were changing into funny costumes for what seemed to be a company event. They laughed, teased each other, and talked casually while preparing for the show. The atmosphere was bright and carefree, filled with the sound of their laughter. But behind that light-hearted moment, something unseen was watching. In the reflection of the window, a pale face appeared for a split second, emotionless, staring directly at them. None of them noticed it, but the camera did. When the footage was reviewed later, that reflection remained, its hollow eyes fixed on the 2, as if waiting for them to turn around.
Thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Bye bye.